Welcome back to another episode of Yachting Unplugged. We are coming to you from the all-new, iconic War Memorial Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of our oldest standing facilities here. So much rich history.
Absolutely.
And now it's been brought up to its grandeur, this amazing complex, which is now home to the Florida Panthers practice facility and many other things.
The Stanley Cup champion.
That's right.
Florida Panthers.
That's right.
They practice here on this side of town, and they play near where I live, just outside of Weston on the west side of town.
Well,
so
it's good to see everyone. My name is Kim Swears, the boat boss. I'm here with Rick Thomas from Yachting USA. We are so proud to bring this episode to you from this location in honor of Memorial Day. This is airing on Memorial Day, and although it is not a true holiday in all sense, we are honoring those that lost their lives serving our country. So props to everyone, the families that lost loved ones and that were serving.
Yeah, this holiday gets confused with Veterans Day that happens in November, which celebrates or recognizes all of the veterans and people who have served our military. Today, though, is a somber remembrance of those who gave all in love for the country. And so we thank the families and loved ones for those who have lost theirs, whether it's recently or whether in generations past.
Yes.
Very important day today.
Well, shout out. I don't know how this happened. I mean, we decided to be patriotic. We have the exact same outfits on practically.
Great minds.
I've got my Panthers hat on. This is an official Panther new hat that I got here at the Panthers store at War Memorial on the site here in downtown Fort Lauderdale. If you have not been to this facility, you need to check it out. You can actually watch the Panthers practicing. They have restaurants, they have all sorts of great entertainment, a great 7,500 square foot store to get all your favorite Panther stuff. And the Panthers play tonight, so shout out to my good friend Bill Zito, a client of mine, and all the Panthers that I've been working with. Really, you guys, hats off to you. We love you guys. Bring home that Stanley Cup again.
Do it again. Let's do it again for sure. So, Kim, I think it's important to remember yesterday ended the Safe Boating Week. And while, you know, it's cool we had a Safe Boating Week, it'd probably be great if we had a Safe Boating Month or Safe Boating Year.
Right.
But I think it's ironic we ended yesterday where that's the beginning of the most active boating weekend we have here in South Florida, the Memorial Day weekend. It's the start of most people's summer. And if you're watching from points outside of Florida, you're also probably on the water now, enjoying a long 3-day weekend, getting out on the boat. So a couple things. When you say safe, boat smart from the start. Absolutely.
Yes.
And have a designated vessel operator, a designated driver. It's just natural that.
But it starts on the night before and the week before and the month before. So it's, when I say boat smart from the start, for me, what that means is make sure you're not partying the night before, lack of sleep. Make sure your trailer and your boat or any part of your vessel is in tip-top shape. Seaworthy, as you always say to me.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of the boats that we see on the river, when you and I film on the river, are not seaworthy.
Yep. Have a float plan, too. If you're leaving the dock for the day.
Super important.
You know, let other people that may not be going out with you know that you're going out and when you're expected back. So if you have a problem, someone is paying attention perhaps and notifies. And also just, Kim talked about it. You don't want to be that guy in one of these upcoming videos where your SUV is sliding down the boat ramp into the water.
Gosh, right?
You know, let's be smart about what we do.
Couldn't agree more. And you bring up a good point. I too am part of that crazy group that would make it on those channels, but as a result, I've now worked with the National Safe Boating Council, and I'm working with their instructors, 2 of them in particular at the helm training and how-to boating. Both of them, John Dial and Harley Hunt, are teaching me how to drive a boat as well as you are. And I'm really excited to take the next journey and put it out there that I am the boat boss.
Yes, you are.
I own a boat dealership and everything is boating, and I do not know how to operate a boat the way that I should.
We're fixing that, though.
Yes.
We're fixing that.
And so tomorrow, and actually on Monday, or Tuesday, I will start trailering a boat. I'm gonna learn how to trailer a boat and use my forklift.
You got the right ride for that. That truck of yours will pull. It pulled my boat once. So,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excited about it. All right, well, let's get into the news. You know, we bring you so much of the great news in the industry. It's every Monday the show airs. So we film it on Saturday or Sunday. It airs every Monday. So it's,
Shall we start with some good news?
I think I want some good news.
The state of Florida reported tourism at an all-time high.
I saw that.
That was great. And what I think that represents is, you know, we'll be talking about other economic news coming up in a few minutes, But when you see tourism coming at a high, this is discretionary spending. And this is people from all over the world coming into our great state to enjoy our natural resources, our sun, our fun, our beaches, our water, our theme parks. And so that's indicative that the economy is doing okay.
It is, but you got to save your money though.
Some people do.
Right, exactly. But we're the largest, one of the largest ports in the world, the largest amount of cruise ships that come out of this area. We are the boating capital and yachting capital of the world. We are second behind tourism, the marine industry and yachting and boating industry. So, it's so important that we survive as a industry. Back to an American Boating Congress. A lot of people have hit Rick and I up. I saw it on your post. How do I get involved, they say. And so the thing is that call your congressman, call your legislator, call your Florida representative, your local politicians, and really talk to them about how your business is doing during this time. Not just, it's not always butterflies
and rainbows.
And rainbows.
No,
there's a time that we're seeing right now. It's a season. So talk to your politicians, tell them how important the business is to you, not losing your business or what you're going through, and how important the industry is to our community all along the East Coast of the United States and all over, for that matter.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to know who your local representatives are and to engage with them. If they hear from you, then it becomes important to them.
Well, let's roll right into the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, it talks about the mandate that has been established with the new administration. It passed by one vote, which tells us we're still pretty divided in Congress. But it did pass, and this is remarkable when you think about the potential. Now, there's two sides to every coin, and so there's a lot of talk about what this means with the additional spending. How does that affect our budget, and what will that do with interest rates in the future, and how the Fed's going to look at this.
When you look at like the yachting crew that really rely on their tips won't be taxed, or overtime.
The tourism thing, we have so much service industry here in South Florida. And so it was ironic the current president ran on the concept of no taxes on tips, and that's just passed through. So everybody in the service industry that has a significant income from the actual gratuity that they earn, usually it's cash, but sometimes the restaurants are reporting it. Now there's no tax on that. So
no tax on that, no tax on car loan interest, Social Security, all these different things. But there comes at a cost, because as you and I know, we own our own businesses, and you have to balance that budget. So it's be interesting to see where that money is pulled from, because I understand it's in the trillions that we're giving up.
Well, we'll see, because there's efficiencies that come out of all this as well. DOGE is doing its thing, trying to find ways of taking some of the fat out of the budget, unnecessary programs, So I think right now, it goes back to Rick's rule, wait and see. There's a lot of turbulence in the water. We have to let it settle out and see what happens once the water clears.
I like the wait and see when it comes to that. I don't like the wait and see when it comes to boat sales. So. Buy now.
Buy now. See, it's a great time. The economy is.
Kramer's my favorite. He's a great.
What's Jim say now?
Jim says buy now. So the boat boss says buy now. Buy boats now.
Absolutely.
But back to politics, we have. The next thing that came out was the tariffs, the tariff deadline.
Yeah, because we got a lot of friends on the other side of the pond, and this is getting interesting.
It really is.
There was a 10% tariff that was essentially imposed, and Trump was waiting to hear from the EU about their response and whether there was going to be reciprocity with that. And it was radio silence, crickets. So he basically pushed the nuclear button and said, okay, well, then we're going to go to 50%. Wow. I think that's, again, that transactional on his part. It's basically driving people to the table to really get serious about this. And I just read this morning before we came out to film that the administrators from the EU have agreed to meet in Paris first week of June with Trump administration officials to talk about these tariffs. So again, it's posturing, I think, more than anything else, but you got to take it serious.
We do have to take it serious, and we've seen layoffs already, Sunseeker, Bass Pro Shop, Mercury, the list goes on and on. I know I've had some reductions in my business too, but everyone is seeing that, and this is going to only make matters worse. I really feel for a lot of the business owners and the employees and the companies that really have to make very strategic decisions based on this. The market did not do great this week as a result. Whenever that happens, the market suffers. But you know, for us, we had a good uptick in our business in regards to the phones are ringing for some weird reason, and people were buying. So we'll see where that goes.
Well, there was about a month ago the markets dropped, and then you know if you look back, had you invested then in the markets, they went up 1,000 points. And a lot of people did very well a couple weeks ago, and that's what's going on right now. So, you know, buy when it's low and take advantage of the volatility because that's how fortunes are made.
No, true. And interest rates are not going anywhere. They're dead heat.
Yeah, the Fed did mention, though, that they're looking at later this year dropping the interest rates a fraction of a point or so.
Yes.
So, you know, maybe we'll see that happen.
I hope
before the end of the
year.
year.
Need something. We need
economic stimulus.
Yeah. You need that. You know, when you're having a heart attack and they like shock your heart. Get the paddles out, right?
You see those automatic defibrillators everywhere, right? So yeah, let's see what happens. I think that's exactly what this whole economic program is. You know, so you know, let's stay guardedly optimistic, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Good.
Well, today is World Boating Day. I'm really excited about that. It was something that I heard about at the Palm Beach Boat Show. Informa gave me a jingle and said, we have this project, we'd like for you to work with us on it. And I said, absolutely, anything boating, the Boat Boss is involved in. So I think it's a great thing. We're bringing awareness to the importance of boating, and it's a worldwide initiative. And so today, going on at Pier 66, Megan Lagasse Washington and John Myers, Megan's in charge of the marinas for Tavistock, and at Pier 66, and John, who is the club vice president. If you haven't seen that resort, it's incredible. And Summer, too. We had a great time there.
We did. Well, I was there yesterday, Kim. Yeah. Summer hosted Yachting USA. We did
young professionals.
Wonderful interview with young professionals in yachting. Spectacular. So they also got the hospitality. They got to see exactly what's happening in that resort. And know what I saw? Remember when we did our episode there a couple of months ago, and it was just you and I around the pool, right?
Yes.
Yesterday morning, it was a resort. There were people everywhere. It was like dynamic. It was happening. It was like, okay,
it's really cool.
Open for business. This place is truly a destination.
No, I really do. And it couldn't be a better place to host World Boating Day here in South Florida. And the initiative is worldwide. So check out my social platforms. I interviewed Captain Carey from Below Deck and a few other people that really told their story as to how they got into boating. And we all have that story.
Aren't those stories great?
They're awesome. And we need to talk more about what brought people into the business.
Absolutely.
And I challenge you to do that in your show, is maybe just say, tell us about your very first time on a boat and what that was like.
Well, Kim, it's funny you say that because I've been doing that on a number of my shows. You know, one of the common denominators in all of this.
Grandma, grandpas, dads, no?
Being a 12-year-old kid getting your first sailboat. I bet you 5 or 6 of my guests have talked about how they started, you know, with Optimus Prams as a kid and found their love for the ocean right there, close and personal, on the water with these little sailboats, and it all scaled from there. That's how I started, too, at 12 years old.
Mine was Bridget Malone, my best friend in high school, or growing up in middle school. She lived on one of the islands off, I'm not going to tell you where and give her away, but Bridget, this is all because of you.
She's an island girl.
Because she had a Boston whaler that she took me out on all the time, my twin sister and I, and we were one of those crazy kids that you see now on wavy boats. But yeah, I have Bridget and her family to thank for introducing me into the boat business.
So with it, World Boating Day today, and I think I mentioned to you, Kim, that this week I've actually been using my boat a lot. And when we finish this, I'm going to be heading over to the dock and jumping on my boat.
Nice.
And going back out on the ocean.
Yeah, you were on the ocean on Friday or this week.
Thursday.
Tell me about that.
Well, I'm working with Dr. Shelby Thomas, no relation, but a dear friend, who has invented a artificial reef system that has, if you can imagine, light bulb sockets positioned all over this dome-shaped reef. Inside of it is hollow to bring fish habitat and nursery habitat for fish. The exterior have these sockets, and all around Florida and probably elsewhere, there's a lot of activity in growing corals.
It's so important.
And so they're growing these live corals on these mounts that thread into these sockets. So these lab-grown corals are brought to a point where they're healthy, They're
Yeah,
brought
wow.
out
I
and
love
they're
it.
installed on these reef modules. And in that way, live coral is being repropagated.
And it's solving like
Oh, it's
diseases
it's
and so many great.
there's so many things happening in that space. So this is being installed off of Hollywood Beach, just south of the south end of Dania Beach, in 10 feet of water. So it's set up for people to come off the beach with mask and fins and snorkel. You don't need dive gear. You can swim out there and you can snorkel it and see it.
You know what we're gonna do? Let's go ahead and at the end of the episode of this podcast, we're gonna do a little 2-minute, 30 seconds, 2-minute
I
piece.
did an interview
Let's put that at the end. I think it's important.
with Shelby.
Yeah.
And yeah, listen to Shelby talk about this because we did this on site. So you'll see work
important.
going on in the background and you'll hear her voice talking about exactly what this is all about. This is definitely an initiative that everybody can and should get behind because it's
Yes.
for the benefit of everybody.
And the benefit of also when I'm a cancer survivor and a lot of other people thank, NSU and all the people that are involved in really pushing the needle, putting the throttles down to use the ocean as a way to solve disease.
There's tons of it. Next month, I'm crossing the ocean with Piper's Angels Foundation for the 4th time.
Nice.
And one of the reasons, this is for cystic fibrosis research and therapies, and they've discovered that the salt water in the ocean is actually very therapeutic for those that have cystic fibrosis, which is a lung disease.
Yes.
So primarily lung disease. So there's another example of how the ocean heals and where we can find benefits in a healthy ocean.
Well, speaking of the ocean, our ocean is expanding in regards to boat shows. I heard some great news. I love the Windy City.
Chicago. Yeah.
It's the latest boat show. Cheers to Informa and everyone involved in that decision.
That's amazing, huh?
So 2026.
The Navy Pier up there, right outside of Soldier Field.
I'm excited. When I said to Rick this morning, I was like, how did we not have a boat show there before?
There was a trade show I used to go many years ago in September when it was really cold.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful city.
I'm
and
excited
the
to go to
waterfront
that
there on
next
Lake
year.
Michigan is
Yeah.
just stunning.
Well, look out, Chicago. I'm going to be there. We're going to be there.
Yeah, next year we'll be up there too.
Great. I'm
doing
really
an
excited
episode
to
and-
do that. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, what a place.
I know, right? Let's go over some great news in regards to the industry. Speaking of the ocean, we're going to talk about some great news on the ocean. Suzuki.
Suzuki. Yeah.
Suzuki really, I have to say, stepped up their game. They moved their headquarters, their U.S. headquarters
To
to
Tampa. Amazing.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I love it. Well, it's a
Yeah.
great area over there. That's where I grew up.
I
That's
have
where I
not been
started
there
my
yet,
first
and
business.
Shout out to the Suzuki team. I want to come see your plant and headquarters view as well. Have
Me
you been
too.
here?
I got a pair of 2023 Suzukis on the back of my boat. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Suzuki is definitely, I'm in the repower business. My dealership, we do a lot of repowers for Mercury, our stocking dealer, and then but also Suzuki. So we're Yamaha, Suzuki as well. But Suzuki has really owned the market for repower.
Yeah, want to hear a funny story?
Yes, tell me.
I was
I like
on the
fun
water
stories.
not so long ago, and there's this Broward sheriff guy that's on the water all the time. I see him, and I stopped by and just said, "Hey, be safe. What are you doing?" And he was looking at the engines in the back of my boat, and he's got Mercuries on the back of his boat, and this is a county boat, right? And he's like, "Man, Rick, I would love to have a pair of Suzukis back here. I like those engines so much better than what we've got here."
yeah.
So that's just an organic
I agree.
testimony
So-
to the product.
Testimony is if you work hard, you get promoted. Brandon Circa was named VP of Sales and Marketing. Great job. I love him. He's someone I work with as a dealer for Suzuki. And Jacob Ewing was named VP of Operations for
Good
Suzuki
job, Jacob.
USA. So both of you, Brandon and Jacob, congratulations. I do want to give a shout out to Dear Meat for Dinner. He's such a great guy. If you do not follow Robert and his wife, Robert Arrington is a content creator, huge guy on YouTube, big ambassador for Suzuki. Unfortunately, Robert has had a history of strokes, and he had very serious strokes a few years ago, and they're back. So they just put a loop recorder in him, and they're going to find out what's going on. So
Wow.
Robert, you continue to be in our thoughts and prayers on that,
Very much so.
right? I mean, think about, he was actually his wife. It wasn't for his wife. They was like talking, and he was talking gibberish. So if you do have a relationship with somebody, or you see someone that doesn't make sense,
Right.
there's a reason why. And
He was probably not even hearing what he was saying.
no,
It's
his
just-
wife knew to get him to a
Right.
hospital immediately, and wow, that was just something else.
So Kim, the NMMA
Yes.
has a Hall of Fame.
Get your nominations in now. When is the deadline?
Deadline is June, I think it's June 6th.
Yes, it's June 6th. There's still
Yep.
time to recognize the leaders who have shaped and continue to guide the recreational boating industry. The NMMA, which is National Manufacturers
Marine Manufacturers.
Marine Manufacturers Association Hall of Fame is the most prestigious honor. Celebrates individuals whose vision, dedication, and lasting contributions have made a profound impact on marine manufacturing and the broader boating community. So get those nominations in. There's a lot of people that deserve to be recognized.
Oh, totally. This
There's
is a huge industry.
You get rewarded in public what you practice in private.
That's right.
So now is the time to get those people that really deserve to be honored.
Bravo to that. Yeah, the NMMA is the largest marine association in the United States. It represents all aspects of the marine business, from trailer manufacturers and outboard dealers all the way to, production boat manufacturers. And it does a good job of setting standards and, promoting ethical good business.
Oh, absolutely. So what else do we have going on this week? I'll be speaking, I know you did the Young Professionals in Yachting interview, and I'm actually speaking to that group.
It's a great
so maybe
organization.
You can come if you can on Wednesday at 5:30. It's at the Yacht Club.
Isn't
Yacht Club.
Bob Dennison also speaking
yes,
it there?
Yes. Yep, and Bob Saxon, who is a great friend of mine and the huge ambassador for the industry. He's going to
mine
be
as well. In our interview yesterday, my friend Bob was brought up, and both Bobs actually. I commented, is there more Bobs we can bring into this conversation? But
and we're talking about how to market to the younger community, the younger boaters, and also how to build a brand. And I have to say one thing about Bob Dennison is I was speaking to somebody that was not in the industry, but was his best friend, or of him, knows him, and said he always is in red, yellow, or orange pants. And so Bob is really, we all know who Bob Dennison is, but he's built such a great brand. Everybody knows that Bob is loud when it comes to his pants and is colorful, and he's so full of life.
Yeah, he is exactly that, so full of life. Wonderful gentleman. Comes from an amazing family, too.
Right, no, absolutely, he does.
Well, there is one other Bob. I interviewed and had a great conversation with Bob Allen, the owner of Robert Allen Law, beginning of last week. And we talked for an hour about the boating industry and the yacht world, and look forward to that episode coming out next month. So we're checking all the boxes with the Bobs.
I know. There was an interesting, not to divert or squirrel on us, but there was an article that I forwarded on to two mega yacht brokers that I'm working with, that there seems to be this, like, 1 out of every 5 mega yachts sold are all off market. That it's family offices are getting more involved than ever, because you're very into yachting, and my two friends, Trevor and Josh, who I work with. Tell me about that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's funny. I got a dear friend of mine, Michael Schweiger, who's up in New York, and he and I have been collaborating for a couple of years now, and he just recently reached out to me to talk about off-market yacht sales. That
1 of every 5.
Well, there's a perception, and this is not a diss against the brokerage community, because the brokerage community has a very important role in our industry.
I think it's more about privacy.
Well, and it's also, if you're a seasoned yacht owner, you've gone through transactional deals in the past, and you know what you're doing and how to do it. You bring in a good maritime attorney, and you can do an off-market deal direct, owner to owner, and there's no reason not to, assuming that you understand how to put the contracts together, you understand the importance of your surveys and all of that.
And there's really only so many people that can afford a $300-400 million yacht, or whatever that price is. So that becomes a very small community, and I understand your Rolodex. And for those of you that don't know what a Rolodex is, we should probably put it up on the screen.
Boy, we just dated ourselves, huh, Kim?
Not me.
See?
I'm joking. But yes, so I think your Rolodex becomes the main thing on getting that boat out there.
Yes, for sure.
Well, there's still an importance of brokers, absolutely.
No, that's for sure. There's always will be. But this is an interesting development when you're seeing upwards of almost 20% of transactions moving in that direction. So, one fact in life is nothing ever stays the same.
No.
Change is inevitable. And this is some change that is happening, particularly in the high net worth, large yacht marketplace, where I think transactionally there's more at stake and more risk. Keep that in mind.
Well, we're going to wrap it up because we have the beach to go to.
I've got to finish installing a reef.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a minor thing to do on the weekend.
It's fun. So an hour from now, I'm going to be out on the Atlantic Ocean. It's flat, calm. It's beautiful.
I know. Could it be a better? Like there's no wind. I'm like drenched because it's so hot. But it is so beautiful, isn't it?
It's gorgeous. I'm so blessed to live here and to have the opportunity to work and play on the water.
I know. Live, work, or play on the water. There's nothing better than a lifestyle on the water. Do want to give a shout out to Pier 66, who's our new sponsor, and Liquid Yachtwear.
Liquid Yachtwear.
Yeah,
Thank you
really
very much.
excited about our relationship that's going to form there. And anyone that has any news, please reach out to Rick or myself, and we would like to bring it to the world through Yachting Unplugged. This is a show that airs every Monday. Please subscribe,
Hit like.
follow, share, comment, whatever.
Yes.
We look forward to seeing you on the next Yachting Unplugged. And for this Monday, which is Memorial Day, we toast to all those families that are honoring their loved ones that were lost in fighting for our freedom.
Yes, we should actually take a moment during our barbecues to maybe say a prayer and just recognize the fact that some gave all so that we have what we have.
Absolutely. And don't forget, visit this War Memorial Panthers practice facility here in Fort Lauderdale. It is incredible.
And there's a beautiful park area all around here too. Biking, skating, walking, it's gorgeous. So,
yes. And I got this hat there, and I went to the game recently, and one of the employees was like, "Is that an official Panthers hat?" I was like, "Yes, I got it at the ice practice stadium here in our arena, whatever you call it." What is this called?
The Panthers practice arena, I guess.
It's a Panthers practice arena. So yes, so come visit it, check it out, and go Panthers.
All right.
We are hoping to bring home another Stanley Cup.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
Cheers, everyone. Have a great week, and happy Memorial Day.
Until next time.
Next time. Cheers.
Out of here.
We're excited out here for our first day of deployment of the Guardians of the Reef project. We're putting out 50 artificial reefs with the city of Hollywood, 14 artistic structures, and 36 habitat units, all themed around becoming an ocean steward and guardian of the reef.
Awesome. And so those structures, what's the hope? Once they go in the water, how spread out are they going to be? And what's some future outlook once these things are in there?
Yeah, so we're actually placing these off of 4 public parks here off of Hollywood Beach. These are all between 10 to 15 feet for snorkeling. It's our first shore accessible site. So the hope for this is to engage community and create a site that's accessible for anyone to enjoy. You don't have to be a diver. That means people can come out, not only be able to connect with nature, but be able to experience the ocean and see this beautiful artwork. So we hope will inspire people to become ocean stewards and ocean warriors to protect this beautiful reef that we fall on here in Florida.
So let's talk a little bit about like the technical aspects. So maybe what the structures themselves are made out of, and also maybe you can tell us a little bit more about like the coral restoration and the coral toxicity.
Yeah, so these structures are all made out of an environmentally friendly concrete, pH neutral. We also use calcium carbonate, which helps with benthic recruitment and coral recruitment. Each of these structures have 300 coral locks placed on them where we can simply come in and screw in a coral just like a light bulb. We hope that becomes a beacon of both for the ocean, but also to attract and eliminate, bringing in other fish and corals to these reefs. So this is really a skeletal framework for new coral recruitment and enabling us to scale coral outplanting up the coast. We use artificial reefs as a tool. We believe that we can build systems in areas of current climate conditions where coral can survive in cooler water and away from the seas. So we really want to scale this work up the coastline in regions where corals need it most, to have near-shore nurseries that are accessible where we can be doing scalable restoration. We're starting with 5,000 corals at this site with the goal to eventually get to 50,000 once these long-term will do over 5 million corals across the coast of Florida.